Hello, everybody, and welcome to That Real Texas Team podcast, number 26 here on the channel. And we're trying to grow the number of subscribers right now. We're at 84. I'd like to see those numbers pumped up. So go ahead, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm the host of the channel. My name is Curtis Brown, and with me tonight, a newcomer to the show, Mike. Mike is he's got his own videography and photography business. He's a phenomenal photographer. You go check out his work on YouTube. You could get in contact with him at productionsmass3@gmail.com.
Productions.mass3@gmail.com. Yeah, you can reach out to me that way.
Yes, sorry, my bad. And then Mass3 Productions on YouTube. Go check him out. Give him a subscribe. Thumbs up some videos and hit those notification bells, folks. He's a huge Texans fan, and I'm happy to have him on here. So, Mike, how are you doing? Thank you for coming on. What's going on in your world?
I'm doing awesome. Definitely doing a lot better than that Texans offensive line, but I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, the offensive line is, as we were talking about before we started, it's not been great during the preseason. That second unit that they've been trotting out there is not doing anybody favors.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No. So look, we've got a reoccurring bit on the show. It's called Risers and Fallers. We're going to go ahead and get into that as we're looking ahead as the joint practices this week are going on and the final preseason game of the year against the Rams. Risers and Fallers. In this situation, because it's pregame, we're looking for people who need to rise and people who are going to inevitably fall, or we think are going to fall. So I'll start off with a positive note. We'll go risers here. I think John Mechie strings together two pretty good performances to lock in that wide receiver 5 or 6.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. He was making me really, really nervous with that hands of stone impression where he couldn't catch a cold for a while there. Yeah. And for me, watching him in college and watching what he's done since he's been with the Texans, I really couldn't figure out. I felt it had to be a mental block or something. CJ would put it right on the money and he would drop it every single time. There's a couple of practices that I know for a fact that I sat up and watched him drop it over and over and over again. So it was really good to watch him in this last game against the Giants, like really turn up and show the guy that we, not to say wasted a draft pick on, but we used a very high pick on a guy that hasn't played football in 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, using a second-round draft pick on him, I knew when we drafted him, obviously everybody knew that he tore his ACL in the SEC or national championship game, and he was going to be out, maybe not even play his rookie season. But then the diagnosis happens. He's set back another year. He kind of works his way back in year 2 towards the end of the season and has some decent moments due to injury.
Yeah.
But this was kind of, it's his third year. That's when most wide receivers take a step. And up until last week, it didn't look like that step was going to be had for him. But he looked pretty good. And hopefully we can string that together again. So
I'm really looking forward to watching him and Davis Mills work together in this last preseason game.
Yeah. Yeah. Is Davis Mills going to play?
I pray to God, because I can't watch Tim Boyle anymore. I can't.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll have my popcorn, and if Tim Boyle goes out there, I'll sit my popcorn down and I'll walk out the building. I can't do it. And I love Case Keenum. I'm a Cougar graduate myself, so I love Case, but me and Case are almost the same age.
Yeah,
and I'm past retirement age.
Yeah, be like that. Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard D'Amico say as much as the QB3 spot is subject to change. We assume it's Case Keenum, but there's a reason that Boyle's still here, and apparently he's trying to compete for that spot. I think Case Keenum's got it pretty well sewn up, but that's just me.
The only way he doesn't, if for some reason Case doesn't make the team and Tim Boyle does, it's because they've hired Case Keenum as a coach. That's the only way I see him not being on this team.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fair point. Do you have a riser?
Yeah, I do have a riser. I think Cade Stover is actually pushing Brevin Jordan for that tight end too.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to think he might have already gotten it. And I like Brevin Jordan. I like what he brings to the field, but one of those good problems to have things again.
Yeah. Cade Stover's at least a sufficient blocker, whereas Brevin is not really big enough to do it very well, or he's not doing his form is off pretty much all the time for being as small as he is
Yeah,
compared to
he's
some of
got
the
to be
bigger
form
guys.
secure. Being what is he 6'3", about 235, 240.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. And with Cade even being said that, there's certain times that Cade has looked better than Dalton Schultz blocking.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad that we got Cade Stover. I think he's going to be a phenomenal addition. He already comes in with a rapport with CJ Stroud. I think it's going to be something where he might start the year as tight end 3, but finishes as tight end like 1.5.
yeah,
We start doing a bunch of like 2 tight end formations. Maybe that just means that we can block a little bit better when he's on the field, and I'm okay with that.
I'm perfectly fine. And I believe one of these guys we're going to talk about as a faller would love to have Cade on the field a little bit more too.
Yeah. Way to hit the nail right on the head. Let's go right into a faller here. Number 31, Damian Pierce. We need him to be a riser, but he's not been given a lot of help, and he's not in a system that flatters what he does best. So he's kind of in a little bit of nowhere land where Cam Akers is kind of filling in RB2, and some of these guys that are below, that are, running back 4, 5, 6, and now 7, those guys are looking pretty solid. Jaws Jordan is playing his damn heart out. British Brooks is trying to do the damn thing.
I've watched both of those guys in college, and when we signed British Brooks as an undrafted free agent, I was like, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because he's one of those guys, he's not the fastest. He's pretty big, but he's not the biggest, but he does everything successful.
Yeah.
What I noticed a little bit this week during the practices with the Rams, they had him playing fullback.
Interesting.
They had British Brooks playing fullback. And I was like, oh, okay. Looking over there at Andrew Beck. You sure you want to keep those crutches? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I wonder if they'll make like some sort of weird, like he'll be the fullback while Beck is hurt. Mm-hmm. Make some sort of weird roster do-si-do when he comes back. But I mean, British Brooks last week looked damn near unstoppable at times.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, okay, that's another one of those guys that if they attempt to practice squad him, I think there's at least a team down 45 that might be interested before he makes it that far.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. And if he continues to play well and Damian Pierce continues to flop, I think there's a world where, continuing on the I-45, Damian Pierce ends up playing in Dallas, unfortunately.
They're going to get scraps. They will. That's okay for Dallas. They don't mind our scraps.
That's why we're that real Texas team, and they're just the Cowgirls.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like them. But Damian Pierce has got an opportunity to come out and, in theory, shake off some naysayers, put a good foot forward, and hopefully earn running back 3 or 2 at this point. But it feels like 3 would be his best bet.
It's sure is better making the team. From what D'Amico and what Casario, yeah. What Casario is saying, you can tell they don't want to let Damian go. They are happy with his progress. And apparently I've seen the things he's doing in practice aren't the same thing as the games. Like, I don't know if he's one of these guys that the lights come on, the mental part goes out, but they want to keep him on the team. And so they're going to give him every opportunity. There was a time when I thought Damian Pierce wasn't going to play Saturday. I thought he wasn't going to play Saturday. I thought there was no chance he's going to be one of these guys. He has his chain on. He's doing a couple of interviews and stuff, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But he's fighting for his football life, so he's going to play.
And if he doesn't stay on the Texans, he'll find somewhere that'll use him, in theory, at least use him better. But I bought his jersey after year one, and I was like, "Oh man, this guy's going to be the truth."
Yeah.
And then no, a lot of, and he didn't get any help last year. Like the first 5 or 6 weeks he was the starter,
It
the
was
offensive line was basically a complete reshuffle every week.
so to all my Houston people, that offensive line looked like I-10 during rush hour. There was nowhere to go. You were just stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we were talking about it earlier. The first carry in the game against the Giants, right tackle gets blown up. He's hitting the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you supposed to
It
do?
looks bad on him because everyone's expecting him to jump cut, and the guy with 2 torn ACLs looks great. So it's not helping. It's not helping at all.
No, not at all. Although it is kind of interesting that nobody else is. I don't think we've had anybody average 4 yards a carry yet in any preseason game, unless they've only carried the ball one time.
I think Dare might have did it for like 2 carries, and then everything else was pass catching for him.
Yeah, fair. And oh man, the running back room and the wide receiver room. We'll get into that later. But another faller. Do you have another faller?
I actually do have one, and he's been on my mind a little bit. With what we said Mechie's been doing, we didn't even bring up Xavier Hutchinson, Noah Brown, Robert Woods. All of them are looking so much good. I haven't seen Ben Skoranek in a minute.
Yeah,
I know we traded for him and we gave, but I really think he's about. I don't want to say unemployed because he's another one of these guys. If we cut him, somebody else will pick him up and bury him on the end of the roster. But this doesn't look good for Ben.
No, I think everybody's been playing lights out in that wide receiver room because they know how competitive it is. And in that first game against the Bears, he was.
I was looking at Casario like, yeah, hand clap. You did this one.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I didn't know that. I didn't know he had this guy. I'm not a Rams fan, so I didn't see this guy play any football. And apparently the people that I know a Rams fan didn't see this guy play any football. So
yeah,
they knew something we didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a shifty white slot guy. He's the Wes Welker type.
Yeah.
Julian Edelman. I'm trying to think of other slow white guys that played in the slot. Yeah, that's a solid choice for Faller. I think a good riser here would be Kalen Bullock because the way that they're using Jalen Petrie as more of a nickel / monster, I think that opens up a lot more of Kalen Bullock actually playing safety. And he's played pretty well at times. At times, it looked like he was the only person on defense who knew what he was doing in the secondary.
That first Bears game, it was all over the place. And I was like, there were times he looked like a guy that says, hey, I don't fully understand or know the defensive scheme of what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm going to do it wrong full speed.
Yeah. Yep.
And every coach that I've ever known was like, hey, you're going to do it wrong full speed. Can't nobody tell you did it wrong. You slam your body into people. And this was a guy that apparently they said he couldn't tackle in college. So,
yeah. Well, it's mostly because he's a little light for safety, and it almost doesn't look like that the way like his pads look on him. But
I was about to say, if this guy's too small for safety, I'm terrified of what they're making safeties out of now.
He is tall. He is like 6'2", but he's like 188 pounds.
It's soaking wet.
Yeah. So I mean, you want your safeties closer to that 200 range if possible. But yeah, I think has a good chance to be that third safety that plays a lot in situations where Petrie's asked to go to corner or play the monster or rover or whatever you want to call it, that he was doing in Baylor very effectively, which is, last week where he got that interception for a touchdown. He was doing that.
Yeah. I was trying to think. I think they called it he was a star position. That was, they called it a star. And it was like, what? I've played football for a while. I didn't know what a star was. But what he does, I was, okay, star. Let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like he just like got on a bike again and was like, oh, I remember how to do this. It's easy. So And maybe it was Daniel Jones just being Daniel Jones as well, but his ability to read that was pretty clear, pretty nuts. Do you have another riser? And then we'll wrap this section up.
One more riser. It's that rookie right/left tackle,
Blake Fisher.
There's times he doesn't look like a rookie. I'm impressed by his technique and the fact that to a point on that left side, we didn't miss Laramie Tunsil that much. Yeah. Now I know he's not Laramie, but he tried his best and he looks good. So Charlie Heck unemployed, possibly. I could see it happen.
I could too. Something that I've been thinking since we drafted him was actually that he's probably Titus's replacement if Titus doesn't stay healthy. And in theory, Titus could play guard. I know he didn't want to play guard.
But I don't want him to play guard.
I don't want him to either. Last year it was abysmal. And any other year he's been asked to play guard wasn't that great. He's definitely a tackle.
Yes,
last year we wanted him to come back and return to form that he did in 2022. He and Laramie obviously had a great 2022. However, George Fant was giving that exact same level of production for significantly less money. So they were like, shit, what do we do with Titus? Got to play him at guard.
Got to play him at guard. Got to put this guy we just gave a raise somewhere on the field.
Yeah. And that's the problem I have with Titus is how are you just going to be able to bring a guy off the street who gives you the same level of production and for significantly less money, and you're going to tell me he's the franchise right tackle?
I kept trying to convince myself that George Fant was just playing that good. I really did. It wasn't bad, but I had to try to convince him that, hey, this guy's a borderline all-pro and just nobody's ever caught it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he played damn near lights out for a right tackle coming off the street. Yeah. And they paid him a little bit more than the Titans were willing to pay him, which is kind of a surprise given how bad the Titans' right tackle spot has been in the last 4 years. But the sheer existence of Fant on the roster was supposed to be in case one of the two got hurt, not, he's given us what we wanted out of Titus, so let's just throw Titus in there. Mm-hmm. Which makes me wonder if they wouldn't have traded for Kendrick Green, where would Titus have been?
I don't know.
Because Kendrick was supposed to be the guard center.
And he's another guy that's looked okay. He's another undersized guy. He's looked pretty good, but
yeah. Well,
we need a lot of linemen, but I don't know if we're going to keep this many.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty crowded bunch. All right. Well, I think that's a good spot to go ahead and end risers and fallers here. Now, we've talked and danced around the topic already. The wide receiver room and to a lesser degree, the running back room. The wide receiver room is crowded and a lot of good talent in there. What do you think about the wide receiver room? How many do you think we keep? Who do you think we end up keeping?
Watching these guys play and seeing how well they've played, I'm really thinking it might end up being 7 receivers. Before the year started, I was like 6 and no more, no chance of it being any more than that. This doesn't look good for a couple of these guys. But it actually got to the point where I was like, can we cut Noah Brown?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we'll end up cutting Noah Brown. Got some webcam issues here, but that's fine. Yeah, I mean, Noah Brown's a talented wide receiver, and I think he'll end up staying. I think the real question will be, will we end up keeping Robert Woods? Will we end up keeping some of these Steven Sims? Do we use him as purely a gadget guy? Is Desmond King going to be doing some returning? If they do keep Damian Pierce and he's running back 3, does that mean he's kicking returner? A lot of the way that the running back room shakes out, I feel like has a lot to do with the way the wide receiver room shakes out.
I said those first 2 positions are what's going to really determine a lot of what this team is going to do and what they're not going to do. That's the only way that I can see it going. But it's. I don't envy Casario on this one. I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I might envy his paycheck, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, some tough decisions are about to be made in Houston. Okay. Now, realistically speaking, we're looking at the bottom 3 or 4 receivers at 5, 6, 7, and we're looking at could be Woods, Mechie, Hutchinson, Steven Sims, Skoranek. I mean, a lot of these guys have had some pretty flashy games, but I think Mechie ends up making the roster, and then at 5. Are we taking pictures?
No, I don't know what just happened there. Okay.
Welcome to OnlyFans. Oh god, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a clusterfuck trying to figure out who's going to be where. But I think wide receiver, corner, and running back rooms, the bottom of the depth chart really is going to be determined by who Frank Ross thinks is the best special team utility knife.
Who Frank Ross thinks is going to fit. I saw Sterling Sims making this team as just a special teams only player. But
Yeah.
like I said, as deep as it is, he's going to have to do a lot more. He's got to get his receiver side done. I saw Skoranek returning kicks at one point. I've seen Damian returning kicks. I've seen Ogawale. I've even seen Robert Woods returning kicks.
Yep.
And I was like, I didn't know he still had that in him.
Yeah, for real. And especially with the way the new kickoff is, I think Frank Ross has got to be cooking up something crazy, because for the last, I don't know, the better part of like the last 3 or 4 years, he's been probably top 3 special teams coordinators in the league.
Yeah, I could see that.
We were the only team last year that had 2 different kickoff returns during the regular season.
For touchdowns, yeah.
For touchdowns, yeah.
Now, okay, we're going to call it Andrew Beck thing. A return touchdown, yes. But I don't think that was planned. I think that was just dumb luck.
I mean, yes, absolutely dumb luck, but it counted.
I'll take it. I will definitely take it.
Yeah. Andrew Beck, I did not expect that to happen. I think I was at work when that game was happening. And I just remember catching the highlight. I'm like, who the hell? What? Andrew Beck? Jeez. All right. I'll take
that's
it.
what we're doing today. Okay.
Not a problem. All right. Okay. Well, look, let's get into this top 25. We're going 5-1 tonight. And we'll talk. I'll say the name of the player. We can both talk about him. We'll go from there.
Okay. Not a problem.
Number 5 on my list is Mario Williams. For those who don't remember Mario Williams getting drafted 2006, if I'm not mistaken, he, Reggie Bush, and I think Vince Young were the 3 consensus, like anybody could be taken number 1. And everybody thought Reggie Bush was getting taken and going to Houston, and then Mario Williams instead.
Well, I would tell you, everybody out here wanted Vince Young. They wanted Vince Young. He's a hometown kid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And instead, the big swerve, Mario Williams comes in, and up until J.J. Watt, he's probably the best edge rusher the Texans have had. Up until J.J. Watt, that is.
Yeah. There's no argument there. No argument that I would ever win.
Yeah, I mean, a few good seasons, a couple great ones, double-digit sacks, 12, 13 sacks. Then he goes and has a continuation of the same stellar career in Buffalo, and then bounces around the league for a little bit to wrap it up. But I think by the time he left the Texans, I think he had a total of like 68 sacks or something. Very proficient at getting to the quarterback. You have any more final thoughts on number 90?
Number 90, like I said, I was sad to see him go. till I saw what Buffalo paid him, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It was good, but I wasn't sure if he was that good. But over the years, we did miss him. We missed him as a team. So
yeah. Imagine having him and JJ Watt and Clowney and Merciless. That would have been nuts.
That's almost what I feel like the Texans have potential to do this year.
Yeah.
If we can get that guy to just come out of retirement. I know he's bored watching that baby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Watching his wife go out there and do soccer, and he's just like, shit, I could be playing football right now.
He's like, I still have it. It's one of those things I don't understand. I'm not a professional football player, never have been. But I know it's got to be weird to watching guys on TV and everything in you is, I'm better than that guy.
Yeah. 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 They say that athletes die two deaths. It's the day you can no longer play your sport and the day that you actually die. Because it's just kind of like closing an entire chapter on your life. And it's hard for a lot of people to close that book. Mm-hmm. Because in our minds, we feel younger than we actually are. And it very often gets some of these older players in some deep injury issues later in life.
Yeah, and I think that's where JJ sort of fits, is because there's part of him that's like, I can still play. I have some left. But then that ache or pain happens in the middle of the night, and he's like, no.
Yeah. The weather rolls in and his joints start to ache.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right. Well, look, let's go to number 4 here. Without a doubt, the best running back in Texans history. Tennessee alumni, San Diego native, number 23, Arian Foster.
AKA Bobby Fino. Love that guy. I love that guy, regardless of what anybody says about him.
Yeah. No, same. I was excited when the draft had come and gone, and I thought Arian was going to get drafted. He didn't. I was excited when I realized that the Texans brought him in as a UDFA, and he finally got a little bit of action his rookie season at the end of the year. I think he played in the final 2 games and had 100 yards to end the season. And that was enough for the Texans to be like, we're riding with this guy going into next season. First game of the next season is a 200-yard performance against the Colts to open up the year. Phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. I wish Arian Foster was still playing.
I remember that last one of those 2 last games. I can't remember which one. One of them I was at the game. I don't remember if it was the second to last or the last game. Mm-hmm. And I remember looking over at my friend that was at the game, and I was like, where the hell has this guy been all year? Who the hell is this guy?
Chilling on the practice squad.
Yeah, and one of the guys in the stands behind me said, yeah, he's been on the practice squad. I was like, okay, this is why everybody on the team needs to be fired. You got talent like this on the practice squad.
Yeah.
But
I mean, hell, I think they'd gone through like 7 different running backs that season.
Exactly. Steve Slayton, Dominique Williams. Do we need to start listing these names again? These guys. It was discouraging.
Yeah, it was. But, he had those 3-4 years of absolute dominance and then followed up by good play, but injury-marred seasons. What's crazy is you can actually trace all the injury back to the day he decided to go vegan.
I like that because she's trying to get me to go vegan completely. And I was like, yeah,
no.
It blew up.
No, don't do it. Don't buy the hype. Yeah, he goes vegan, and then all of a sudden, all the injuries in the world start happening to the guy. So let that be a note to all the athletes out there. There's only one who's really good, and he's in the UFC, and I can't remember his name right now. Number 3, somebody we're all very familiar with, still plays in the league to this day, still wearing the same number 10, DeAndre Hopkins. Without a doubt, one of the best wide receivers in Texans history, and there's the other one is still yet to be named on this list, but DeAndre Hopkins is a freak athlete, and not necessarily in the fact that he's going to blaze speed to a point where you can't see him, but he can jump out the gym, he can catch anything, and he does it quietly. He's not a outspoken, boisterous guy. He just shows up, goes to work, does his thing, gets the hell out of there. Respect the hell out of that.
I actually start to think that maybe Houston just breeds non-diva receivers.
Yeah.
Because that was never him.
No.
He's like, yeah, I'm good. Pay me. I'm good. That was it. Not he didn't cry about not getting the ball. He didn't cry about having to sit behind Andre Johnson for a couple years and let Andre be the Hall of Famer he is.
Yep.
It was just, hey, I'm here to play football. I'm gonna be better than everybody else. And he's one of the guys that when you see him in person, you're like, all NFL players lie about their size.
Yeah.
Because that guy's maybe 6 feet tall.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe 6 feet, not overly muscular, not this big hulking guy. It's just they couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Like you said, he was never going to run past anybody. He was never going to do it. He might outjump you, and his hands open up like a parachute.
Yeah. Hands like a baseball mitt.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was like, yeah, he has custom-made gloves. And I'm looking around. Anybody else on the team have custom-made gloves? Nope, just him.
Yeah, his hands are like size 5X. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he had no choice but to be a receiver.
No, literally no choice at all. And he's kind of belongs in that category of like wide receivers whose 40 time is misleading.
Yep.
Just in the same way that Jerry Rice's 40 time was misleading. I mean, like, I don't believe Jerry Rice was a 4.72.
Yeah, no. Well, and speaking of Kamari Lassiter.
Yep.
It's a lie.
Yeah. Game speed, man. That's the real thing that people should be measuring. Game speed. How fast was your top?
He looked fast on film. Leave it at that.
Yep. Shifting up to number 2 here, the other wide receiver that is the top one, Andre Johnson, recently enshrined in the Hall of Fame, rightfully so.
Took him long enough.
For real. Again, another non-diva, one of the best wide receivers in the league at his peak, and just a consistent, keep your head down, go to work. I'm going to catch the ball 12 times for 150 on whoever I'm playing, with the exception of Darrelle Revis, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, other than that guy. But one of the things that everybody in Tennessee is going to hate and all us Tennessee Texans fans are going to love was the Cortland Finnegan beatdown.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that was so priceless.
That almost made him a Hall of Famer in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
Over everything. But then he just happened to be pretty good at that game called football.
Yeah. That performance against the Jaguars in overtime where he and Matt Schaub light it up all over the Jaguars defense, but their defense is not giving them any help against the Jaguars. Andre finishes with like 14 catches, 205 yards, and a touchdown. Incredible performance. You remember that Dolphins game? It was like one of the first times where Matt Schaub really kind of like shined. Down the whole game, he's just throwing the ball to Andre Johnson in like triple coverage. He's jumping over everybody.
I remember that game. Even I was starting when I was like, "Is there anybody else?" Well, yep. No, that's a bad pass. Oh, okay. Yep. Great throw, Matt.
Yeah.
Do it again, Matt.
If I'm not mistaken, the final play of that game, there's like 1 second on the clock. We're at the goal line. They spread out the offense, and Matt Schaub notices there's no linebackers in the middle of the field and just runs into the end zone to close the game out.
Yeah.
Winning the game for the Texans. That was the first time that I was like, all right, Matt Schaub's going to be able to do something with this team.
Yeah. I think he's better than everybody says he is type thing.
Yeah, he's definitely slept on in Texans history. But Andre Johnson, without a doubt, one of the most talented wide receivers of his era, led the league in receptions and yards a couple different times. Without a doubt, like, Jerry Rice is number 80, but I think Andre Johnson is the Texans' retired number 80. I think at some point he needs to get his jersey retired.
I'm trying to figure out what's taking him so long. Like, JJ got his jersey retired before Andre, technically.
Yeah.
Love that guy, but yeah.
Yeah. We just talked about him. Number 1 on this list. Number 1 in most Houstonian hearts. Raised over $45 million in the hurricane effort for local damages in Houston. Sack leader multiple times throughout his career. The first player to have 20-plus sacks in multiple seasons. J.J. Watt. Obviously, without a doubt, the most impactful player the Texans have had to this date. Entire games where he would just take over and obliterate a running game and a passing game. Scoring touchdowns on offense as a tight end.
Yeah.
I mean,
thank you, B.O.B. Thank you. We needed that.
Yeah. There was serious consideration at one point that he might be MVP of the league, and that's why they were throwing that man 5 touchdowns or whatever.
That he got robbed. He got robbed on that one. They can give Aaron Rodgers everything they want, but that was J.J. Watt's MVP.
Yeah. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Without a doubt, one of the most talented defensive linemen to have ever played the game. He will be the second Texans Hall of Famer, without a doubt.
Yeah, first ballot.
Yeah. If he doesn't go in first ballot, there's some shenanigans at foot.
Well, and the only thing that's sort of scary about that is he should definitely still be first ballot, but as long as he doesn't come back and play football again, it's him and Tom Brady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't like that guy, but hey, yeah.
Well, the rumor is that he might be coming back to the Vikings.
Who?
Brady. I don't know if it's true. It's just a rumor that I've heard tossed around. Apparently, he's been in contact with the organization. There's going to be a long time until he's like ratified as an owner of the Raiders, because he is like a minority. He put in like a bid. They have to approve all that. So in the meantime, he could, in theory, play. They have an interesting team, clearly, but
do we play the Vikings? Do we play the Vikings in Houston, or is it in Minnesota?
Oof, I don't know where it is. I do know that we definitely play them, though.
I will tell you this: if it's in Houston and Tom Brady's anywhere near the field, I'm bringing a walker to the game. He's there with a walker.
Yeah. Get off the field, Paul.
Yep. I'm gonna sit it right there in the front row and just keep pointing to it every few minutes.
Somebody's gonna be having a great time at that. But yeah, that's the top 25. You can go back and check the other podcasts for the remainder of the list, the prior iterations. Over on the main channel, Curtis's Podcast Network, on this AFC South show, we will be doing a collective top 25 AFC South players ever. So obviously for the Titans, that means there's no Oilers players.
Say it again. Say it one more time for me.
No Oilers players.
Yes.
Right. They can, like, Steve McNair counts, but Earl Campbell doesn't, kind of thing.
So as long as we still get to keep Warren Moon regardless of what he says.
Correct. Warren Moon is a Houston legend.
Yeah.
Yes. And Canadian football legend at that. But not the point. Folks, I think this is a good spot to go ahead and wrap this up. Mike, I want to thank you for taking time out of your evening to come on and talk Texans ball with me.
Not a problem. I'll do it again anytime.
Hell yeah. I hope to have you back as often as I possibly can.
We'll get this camera thing figured out by then too.
Oh yeah. Until then, it's I've never seen this as far as the screen EOS webcam utility. Don't know what that means, but
that's on my side. Something camera either I don't know if it overheated or the battery died there. Technology.
Yeah, it's all right. But folks, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe button. We're trying to grow the channel. 84 subscribers right now. Like to see that get closer to 100 as we get closer to the season. I'm working on getting Cody Stutes. I'm working on getting Drew Doherty. I'm working on getting a bunch of the Texans media folks to come on right before the season starts, including some of the other Texans YouTubers, James Roy. We're going to be trying to figure it all out. So, folks, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. And go Texans.
Go Texans. I can't argue with that.